I'm really looking forward to having some clarification on the lack of strategy on deinstitutionalization and the use of EU money to fund institutions that segregate people with intellectual disabilities. I'm really looking forward to hearing more about the lack of actions regarding supported decision making in Europe and the fact that many people with intellectual disabilities could not take part in the European election last year, for example.
It's really important for the committee to receive direct information for organization of persons with disabilities, to understand all the many issues people face really at national level, and what the committee and the EU should be doing. Our main concern is that the EU has not announced or adopted specific action for the next 5 years of its strategy on the rights of persons with disabilities. We also have no real information about the next EU budget, so the EU money that will be allocated to persons with disabilities. And what we ask is really ambitious, concrete action that cover all areas of life. So independent living, autonomy, right to make decisions should be covered in the next actions.
Main concerns, beginning from the lack of access to diagnosis and then the services that follow that, from education to employment to healthcare. We see a massive issue with autism being associated being an illness and misunderstood and stigmatized.
For us, the main concern is that the European Union has been giving money to the countries to spend more on things like social services and housing, but the countries have been spending this money for institutions instead. And the regulations have not prevented this from happening. So what we want the committee is to first ask them, why is this still happening? Why are they giving money for countries to invest in institutions? And the second thing is that they ask them, how are they going to end this situation? And how are organizations like ours, or organizations also of self-advocates in the countries, can be more involved to end this process?
No, the money is a really big issue for the European Union. Many people live in institutions. EU funds continue to go there, and I'm just wondering what would be the ideal recommendation from the UN CRPD committee to prevent it from happening?
I think that since in the next few years we're going to be discussing the following budget at the European Union, what we need the committee to say is that the regulations need to be very strong, really clearly say no money for institutions, and if any country spends money for institutions, there will be consequences. The European Commission can take action to stop it. I think this will be really, really important, but also spend the money in personal assistance, spend the money in housing, in social services, in anything disabled people need to live independently.
I was a bit anxious at first because I didn't know if the committee really understood our issue, but then the member from Australia, I think, who is on the task force for Canada and was responsible for the particular articles. They group the articles together as the session goes. She was very good. We're very hopeful that the concluding observations will make some strong recommendations to the Government of Canada on our issues.
Our government was was really reading prepared responses, so not always answering the questions of committee members directly. The committee was very good at asking for more information and prodding for more accurate answers to the questions. The government has a role. They have supported disability, civil society in many ways, but we would hope that they'll continue and broaden their support for our work.
You know, people don't always respect the international system or believe in the international system, but even in the last couple of days, I can see how it's extremely important that that it exists and that we collaborate and that we keep pushing the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities globally, and that real change does happen through this convention.